Good evening. You're watching this News at 6 with me, Shan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling you in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. Jat leaders extend deadline on the reservations issue even as prohibitory orders are imposed and mobile internet services are suspended in many places in Haryana. Home Minister Rajnath Singh allays fear over renewal of violence in the state. Crisis intensifies a day after the Punjab Assembly passes a resolution against construction of the Sutlej-Yamuna link canal. Haryana Congress seeks President's rule in Punjab. After almost spending a month in jail, JNU students Umar Khalid and Anirban Bhattacharya granted interim bail for 6 months in the sedition case. Enforcement Directorate issues another summons to Vijay Mallya, asks him to appear on the 2nd of April to record his statement in the 900 crore rupee loan default case. And North Korea test fires 2 more ballistic missiles after getting fresh US sanctions were imposed on the isolated state. Our top story this evening, the Jat community leaders today extended the deadline on considering their demand for reservations till the 3rd of April. Now, this came after lengthy meetings with state government officials, including the DGP and the Chief Secretary of Haryana. After the meeting, the Jat leaders described the attitude of the state officials as extremely cooperative and helpful to their cause.
Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh on Friday allayed fears over the possible renewal of the quota agitation by Jats in Haryana. Hoping for an early solution, Rajnath Singh called up Haryana Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar to take stock of the situation.
हमारी आज भी हरियाणा के मुख्यमंत्री से बातचीत हुई है। वैसे चिंता की बात नहीं है, सारी समस्या का समाधान निकलेगा।
A 72-hour ultimatum to the Haryana government by the Jats to address their demands ended on Thursday. They said they will announce their plan after meeting the Haryana Chief Secretary and Director General of Police.
गुमराह क्यों कर रहे हैं ये? जो बात की है, जो वायदा किया है, वो पूरा करें। और हमने भी तो दिया था, हमने किसी को छेड़ा नहीं, लेकिन किसी को छोड़ा भी नहीं। हर उसको वर्ग को आरक्षण का लाभ मिल रहा था। तो इस प्रकार से कोई ना कोई बातचीत से अब विवेक, ये सरकार को अपने विवेक इस्तेमाल करना है, रास्ते निकल सकते हैं।
The state government blocked internet services in Haryana's Rohtak and Sonipat districts as precautionary measures against possible violence in the state.
सरकार का निश्चय है ये हरियाणा सरकार का कि विधेयक लेके आएंगे, उसकी तैयारी भी वो कर रहे हैं। और आज जो जाट आरक्षण से संबंधित संस्थाएं हैं उनको बुला के उनसे भी सलाह मशवरा किया जा रहा है और इसके अच्छे परिणाम होंगे।
The centre sent 8,000 paramilitary personnel to be deployed in 5 sensitive districts. Flag marches were also carried out to instill confidence among the people. Around 300 paramilitary personnel are also deployed at the Munna Canal that supplies water to Delhi. 30 people were killed in the widespread violence in the state last month in the first phase of the agitation. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Now, the Enforcement Directorate today issued a second summons to Liquor Baron Vijay Mallya. The ED asked him to appear before it on the 2nd of April and record his statement in the alleged 900 crore rupee money laundering case.
Liquor Baron Vijay Mallya has been given time till 2nd April to appear before the Enforcement Directorate. Mallya is facing charges of loan default by the IDBI Bank to the tune of over 900 crore rupees. The new ED summons came after the UB Group chairman on Thursday sought more time from the agency to present himself on a later date. The agency accepted his petition and gave Mallya the new date to join investigations in person. Earlier, the ED asked him to appear before them on March 18th. Meanwhile, the political blame game continues over the businessman's departure from the country.
Shri Vijay Mallya is the litmus test for Modi government's integrity to persecute those who have run away with country's money, as also to ensure that it does not implement its fair and lovely scheme to help evaders of holders of black money and people who have absconded with money of the banks.
अब उसके बयान पर बयान पूछ रहे लोग, यानी
वो महत्वपूर्ण हो गया, लेकिन देश का पैसा डूब गया। जनता का पैसा है वो बैंक में।
सरकार के संरक्षण में विजय माल्या देश से बाहर गए हैं और सरकार ये सब दिखावा कर रही जनता को। विजय माल्या अब देश में वापस नहीं आएंगे, सरकार चाहे जितनी भी कोशिश कर ले।
All I can say is the government is very serious. The finance minister has already said that whatever needs to be done to bring each and every single penny back, the government will act towards it.
The fresh summons to Mallya have been issued under the provisions of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Mallya has been asked to furnish documents related to his personal investments and finances, income tax returns for the last 5 years and passport. Mallya left the country on March 2nd and is believed to be in London. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the Haryana Congress leader sought the president's rule in Punjab over the Satluj-Yamuna link canal row. Yesterday, the Punjab Assembly unanimously passed a resolution against the construction of the canal, stating that the state did not have water to share with its neighbouring state. On Thursday, the Supreme Court has ordered status quo over the issue.
Amid raging controversy over the Satluj-Yamuna canal link, Punjab refuses to compromise over the water-sharing row with neighbouring Haryana by passing a unanimous resolution. Punjab Chief Minister Parkash Singh Badal, who is the leader of the House, moved a resolution in the Assembly saying that his state is facing crisis of water and does not even have one drop to share with others.
The House has passed a resolution this morning in which all the political parties of the state have unanimously resolved that circumstances being what they are, the SYL canal cannot be built, and they cannot allow it to be built in defiance of the rights of the state over its river waters. As you're aware, that the petition filed by the state government challenging the Article 78 on the Government of India's power to distribute water between the states is still pending before the Supreme Court.
के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार है देश में, उन्हीं की सरकार है पंजाब में और उन्हीं की सरकार है हरियाणा में। उन तीनों को साथ बैठ करके एक निर्णय दोनों राज्य के जनता के हित में करना चाहिए।
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक अपनी स्थिति रखी है और बातचीत से इसका रास्ता निकलेगा।
A delegation of the Haryana Congress called on the president on Friday evening. They appraised Pranab Mukherjee of the situation arising out of the Punjab government's decision on Satluj-Yamuna link canal. The Haryana Congress has demanded president's rule in Punjab.
इस किस्म के फैसले संघीय ढांचे पर सवालिया निशान लगाते हैं। हमारी फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर है हमारे देश का सर, जो एकता का और देश की एकता पर खतरा साबित हो सकता है। इसी वास्ते राष्ट्रपति जी से कल मिले थे, हमने उनसे निवेदन किया था कि दोनों प्रदेशों में राष्ट्रपति शासन लगाया जाए, क्योंकि कुछ ऐसे बातें आ रही हैं जो संघीय ढांचे पर जो है सवालिया निशान उठा रहे हैं, वो देश के हित में नहीं है।
However, the Supreme Court has directed maintenance of status quo on land meant for the canal after Haryana alleged that the efforts were made to level the land. The delegation urged Mukherjee to save SYL canal, saying that this is the lifeline of Haryana. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, Delhi's Patiala House Court today granted interim bail to JNU students Umar Khalid and Anirban Bhattacharya. The two were arrested in a sedition case last month after a controversial event on the campus on February 9th. Additional Sessions Judge Ritesh Singh granted the bail and directed both accused to furnish 25,000 rupees as a surety amount. Umar and Anirban had sought bail on the ground of parity with co-accused JNU-SU President Kanhaiya Kumar, who got bail in the case this month. Both are expected to be released from Tihar jail in the evening today. The Nepalese Prime Minister KP Sharma has said that the government is actively pursuing ways to resolve the Madhesi issue. In an exclusive interview to Rajya Sabha TV, he elaborated on the key issues in the IndoNepal partnership.
In his first interview to an Indian television channel, Nepalese Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli told Rajya Sabha TV that the Madheshis were playing the politics of pressure. And now realizing that it wasn't working, the community leaders are changing their tactics.
शायद वो इस नाम पर हमको दबाव देना चाहते हैं। अब मेरा कहना है उनसे, इसका कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है कि दबाव देने का। हम तो इतने ओपन हैं। ये देश मेरा ही इकलौता देश नहीं है, उनका भी है, सबका है।
Oli also says he's neither India's adversary nor China's sympathizer. But these days, he was talking to all nations to help economic growth in Nepal. Oli also dismissed reports that he wanted to make China his first port of call after becoming Prime Minister.
आकार हैसियत से जनसंख्या से बड़े और विकास में आगे जो हमारे पड़ोसी हैं उनका विकास से भी हमको लाभ लेना है तो इसमें हमको झगड़ने का कोई आवश्यकता ही नहीं.
Oli visited India last month. After holding talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he disclosed that all misunderstandings had been cleared with India. He spoke in detail on these subjects on Rajya Sabha TV. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And you can watch the entire interview on Rajya Sabha TV's program Tarkash at 8:30 p.m. on Saturday and at 7:30 a.m. on Sunday. On that note, we'll take a quick break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
GST, once raising debate and storm, now conspicuous by its silence. Not even brought for consideration in the budget session so far. What are the hitches? What holds this key bill back? Watch The Big Picture at 6:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now, the Indian Air Force is showcasing its biennial Air Force show, Iron Fist 2016, in Pokhran today. With a focus on Made in India, the IAF will demonstrate 22 types of platforms and weapon systems, including the Akash missile for the first time. Frontline fighter aircraft, including Sukhoi 30, Mirage 2000, Jaguar, MiG-29, attack helicopters and remotely piloted aircraft are also on display. All foreign-friendly countries except Pakistan and China are invited for the exercise, which is attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Pranab Mukherjee. Now, 2 unidentified militants were killed in an encounter with security forces in Kashmir's Kupwara district today. The gun battle started after security forces received information about the presence of militants in a house in Handwara area and carried out a search operation. The militants reportedly opened fire on the security personnel. 4 militants are believed to be in the area. The encounter is still underway and the area has been cordoned off.
जो सर्च पार्टी ने उन पे फायर किया, देर रात तक ये फायरिंग दोनों तरफ से जारी रही, जिसमें 2 मिलिटेंट मारे गए. उनसे जो कुछ रिकवरीज हमें हुई, उनसे ये लगता है कि लश्कर तोयबा से वापस है. इससे ज़्यादा भी हो सकते हैं. बड़ा गांव है और घना जंगल है. अभी कुछ पैचेस में हम फिर सर्च कर रहे हैं, देखते क्या होता है.
Now, the communally sensitive region of Muzaffarnagar was once again on the boil after 2 communities clashed over an alleged molestation of a girl. At least 6 people were injured. Both groups pelted stones at each other after the eve-teasing came to light. Security was tightened in the area after the clash. Police assured that all preventive measures have been taken to curb the issue from escalating. 1 youth was arrested and communal tensions have remained high in the region after the violent riots in 2013 between Muslims and the majority Hindu Jats.
एक छोटी सी मामूली विवाद पे 2 पक्षों में आपस में जो है पथराव की घटना हुई है और इसके बारे में पुलिस तत्काल मौके पे सूचना पाते पुलिस तत्काल मौके पर पहुंच करके उसको जो है स्थिति को नियंत्रण में किया और मौके पर पुलिस बल तैनात है और जो इसमें विधिक कार्रवाई है उसको विधिक कार्रवाई अमल में लाई जा रही है.
The police arrested 6 Maoists from Jharkhand's Hazaribagh district on Thursday. The arrested men belong to the Jharkhand Prastuti Committee that allegedly ran an extortion racket in nearby areas. The police said that the group threatened local businessmen in and around Hazaribagh and sought money even from the government-run National Thermal Power Corporation. Weapons, mobile phones and Maoist literature were also recovered from the arrested people.
इसी के क्रम में इनके 6 सक्रिय सदस्य एवं कमांडर को हम लोगों ने गिरफ्तार किया है. ये पूर्व में कई जगह जाकर के धमकी भी दिए थे. ये 6 अभियुक्त हैं वो पूर्व में भी जेल जा चुके हैं.
Some more national news stories now nationwide. A special NIA court in Kochi set free 10 Iranians and a Pakistani national arrested from an Iranian dhow. The vessel was intercepted off the Kerala coast last year. The investigating agency submitted a report giving a clean chit to the arrested men. However, the captain of the ship has been charged with a minor offence and may have to remain in jail for some more time. All the 12 accused are currently lodged at the Kakarnad district jail. Uttarakhand BJP MLA Ganesh Joshi was arrested today for allegedly assaulting a police horse in Dehradun. The incident took place during a protest against Chief Minister Harish Rawat, which led to the amputation of one of the horse's hind legs. The MLA from Mussoorie was arrested from outside a hotel on the basis of an FIR lodged against him. Landslide triggered by heavy rains blocked the Jammu-Srinagar highway, leaving hundreds of passengers and tourists stranded. The state has been receiving heavy rainfall for the past few days. There were no words from the state authorities as to when the highway would be opened. According to the Met Office, the rains and snow will continue up to the 19th of March. Two CRPF jawans were injured in Chhattisgarh's Naxalite Dantewara district in separate incidents, while one jawan was injured in a pressure bomb blast in Badegora forest of the Kuakonda police station. Early this morning, another CRPF jawan was shot by an arrow in Chikpal forest under the Katekalyam police station limits late last night. Time now to take a look at our special series on the states that are going to the polls this year and news about them. Modifying 2015 order, the Supreme Court today allowed publication of photographs of chief ministers, governors, as well as cabinet and state ministers in public advertisements. The verdict came in petitions by centre and states, including poll-bound West Bengal and Tamil Nadu. The state sought review of the judgment that barred publication of leaders' photos in advertisements, except those of the President, Prime Minister and Chief Justice of India, saying it infringed fundamental rights. As part of BJP's strategy to face the polls in Assam, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Puducherry, the party will use Prime Minister Modi's government's achievements as what it called an additional weapon. BJP National Secretary H. Rajya said today that the centre's achievements in the economic sector and financial inclusion schemes like Jan Dhan, Atal Pension Yojana and the Mudra Bank will be advertised to win the elections. Former Assam Chief Minister Prafulla Kumar Mahant filed his nomination for the second phase of the Assam Assembly elections today. Mahanta is contesting elections from the Barhampur Assembly constituency. Mahanta's party, the Assam Gana Parishad, is in alliance with the BJP for the 126-member state assembly elections. A full team of the Election Commission, including Chief Election Commissioner Naseem Zaidi, will be travelling to Assam next week to review poll preparedness. The officials are expected to hold meetings with top officials of the state election machinery and representatives of various political parties on the 21st and 22nd of March. The 126-member Assam Assembly will have two-phase polling on the 4th of April and the 11th of April. Time for a short break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritanshu Rai. You're watching Constitutionally Yours.
अपने को एक्सप्रेस करने के स्वतंत्रता बहुत ज़्यादा प्रेशस राइट है।
फ्रीडम का अर्थ ये नहीं है कि किसी के डिफेमेशन तक जाए, हम राष्ट्रद्रोह तक जाए।
क्या जातिगत आरक्षण सही है?
जब तक सोसाइटी को सूट होने तक है, तब तक वो बात ठीक है। यदि सोसाइटी को सूट नहीं होता है, तो हमको कानून बदलना ही पड़ेगा।
Join us as we try to understand contemporary issues related to the Constitution. Watch Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching News at 6. Some international news now. And North Korea test-fired 2 more ballistic missiles that are likely medium-range ones. The test comes just a day after fresh U.S. sanctions were imposed on the isolated state. Afterwards, the U.S. called for Pyongyang to refrain from raising tensions. The action is the latest display of military power on a peninsula that roils with tension.
North Korea fired 2 more ballistic missiles, the latest in a series of rocket launches. Fired from the west coast of the Korean peninsula, one flew 800 kilometers towards the sea. The second disappeared at an altitude of about 17 kilometers. South Korea says there could be medium-range Rodong missiles that can reach all of South Korea and parts of Japan. Last week, North fired 2 short-range missiles.
우리 군은 최근 북한의 핵 미사일 개발 진척 상황을 엄중하게 인식하고 있습니다. 북한의 이번 미사일 발사는 유엔 안보리 결의에 대한 정면 do전이며
厳重な抗議を行いました。政府としては引き続き国際社会と緊密に連携し、毅然として対応してまいります。北朝鮮に自制を強く求めるとともに、いかなる事態にも
The development comes a day after the US imposed new sanctions on North Korea for its nuclear test and satellite launch last month. The UN Security Council has also imposed sanctions on the Kim regime. But North Korea remains defiant, even as its ally China did sign up for the new UN sanctions.
我们敦促朝鲜方面执行安理会相关决议。同时呢，我们也希望所有有关各方呢保持冷静和克制。 避免采取可能导致半岛局势进一步紧张的行动。
The new US sanctions freezes North Korean government property in the United States. It also bans US exports to or investment in North Korea. The sanctions came after outcry over Pyongyang's sentencing of an American student to 15 years hard labor. Meanwhile, the US and South Korea are holding their biggest annual military drills this month, which routinely generate tensions. But this year, North Korea threatened to launch nuclear strikes against the twin allies. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, a deal between the European Union and Turkey to stem the flow of refugees and migrants to Europe is hanging in the balance. At a summit in Brussels, the EU has said that it was ready to offer Turkey. While the outline of one-in, one-out deal has been reached, the offer is falling short of Ankara's demands. The Turkish president has said Europe should look at its own record of refugees before telling others what to do.
Of course, EU and Turkey, we have the same goal, the same objective to help Syrian refugees especially, and also to have a new future in our continent in a bright manner.
Their goals may be the same, to stem the flow of refugees pouring in Europe, but European Union leaders and Turkey are yet to reach a consensus over a deal. An EU proposal has been offered to Turkey that would see Ankara given financial aid and political concessions in return for taking back all migrants travelling to Greece. But the incentives have been watered down from an earlier proposal, and despite hopes, it is unclear if a deal can be done.
I hope we will be achieving our goal to help all the refugees, as well as to deepen Turkish-EU relations, which is a good news for our continent and for the humanity altogether.
The outlines of the deal were last week agreed by Angela Merkel and Turkish Prime Minister, wherein it was suggested that the promised financial aid be doubled to Turkey, along with easing visa restrictions and a fresh push on talks over Turkey's eventual membership of the EU. But the deal caused resentment among other EU leaders, who say any deal reached must be acceptable to all 28 members. Merkel, however, says looking at the gravity of the crisis, an agreement must be reached quickly.
Ce que moi j'ai fait valoir, c'était que ce plan devait être global, c'est-à-dire concerner la Turquie, puisque la Turquie va accepter de réadmettre, c'est-à-dire de reprendre des migrants qui...
Dass es doch recht schnell erfolgen soll. Also es ist heute Abend schon darüber gesprochen worden, dass jetzt sehr schnell auch Personal zur Verfügung gestellt wird, weil man natürlich weiß, wenn es zu lange dauert, dass dann auch die entsprechenden Pull-Effekte da sind. Aber
Since January 2015, 1 million migrants and refugees have entered the EU by boat from Turkey to Greece. More than 132,000 have arrived this year alone, while tens of thousands are now stuck in Greece as their route north has been blocked. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more international news now in Global Buzz. China and the US opened the world's largest nuclear safety center in Beijing. The opening ceremony was attended by US Energy Secretary and the head of China's nuclear agency. The center, a joint project between China and the US, is set to offer training on the safe handling of nuclear materials and the prevention of terrorist attacks on nuclear facilities. China's authority chief said the centre showed China's commitment to furthering nuclear safety. Australia's Senate passed voting reforms after a marathon session lasting over 28 hours, clearing the way for Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull to dissolve both houses of parliament. He also called for an early election to end a hostile Senate. Independent and minor party senators elected at the last election in 2013 have stalled key aspects of the government agenda. The Senate voting reforms would make it harder for smaller parties to enter parliament through vote-sharing deals. Cuba plans to remove a tax on dollars after Washington relaxed currency restrictions against the Caribbean nation. But it will only take effect when the government is sure that the U.S. measures really make transactions easier. Foreign Minister Rodriguez said Cuba would remove a 10% tax on cash dollars. Earlier this week, the White House chipped away at a sanctions regime dating back to 1960 by relaxing trade and tourism restrictions. Time now for all the sports action in Sports Beat. Saina Nehwal and HS Pranoy advanced to the quarterfinals of the Swiss Open tournament. Saina saw off Czech Republic's Kristina 21-18, 21-17 in a 34-minute pre-quarterfinal contest. She will next take on 7th-seed Japanese Sayaka Sato. In the men's singles, 13th-seed Pranoy also prevailed over 2010 Commonwealth Games silver medalist Rajiv Bosif of England 21-13, 21-18. The Indian women's hockey team defender Deepika will replace Ritu Rani as the captain of the 18-member squad for the upcoming Hawke's Bay Cup to be held in New Zealand from the 2nd of April. Regular captain Ritu Rani has been rested for the tournament, which is being seen as a preparatory event for the team ahead of the 2016 Rio Olympics. Canadian Milos Raonic battled past France's Guy Monfils in the late quarterfinal action or at the Indian Wells. 12-seeded Raonic defeated Monfils 7-5, 6-3 to set up a semi-final meeting with Belgian David Goffin, who ousted Marin Cilic in the other quarterfinal match. Liverpool secured a quarter-final spot in the Europa League with a 1-1 draw against Manchester United to win the tie 3-1 on aggregate. Anthony Martial's 32nd-minute penalty pegged Liverpool back at a 2-1 aggregate, but Philippe Coutinho's solo effort on the stroke of half-time meant United were knocked out of Europe for the first time by English opposition. Well, that's a wrap in this newscast, but as we go, we leave you with this. Visuals of a gym in the Afghan capital of Kabul, where women have taken a fancy to Zumba, a new arrival in the country where dancing was once forbidden under the Taliban's hardline rule. Indeed, a welcome escape from the hard times facing the country. Thanks for watching.